Okay, well I'm still running the camera. So we turned it around, right? So the spine is a 2P?
Yeah, we're using a 2P for the spine, which is a 9-gram tube. And then I'm prepping the end caps that are going to go on the outside. I've done so many of them here that you can actually see. They're very small at this point. And then the next important thing is that we're going to take one of these, and on each one of these, what's really important is that we put a decent amount of glue onto that. So I'm moving it everywhere. And to push this on and rotate it so that there's a good glue joint, and it actually pushes the glue in and around the hole in the sail.
Oh, yes. Okay, we're running.
Okay, now that we've got the little end caps put on the standoffs, these are securely glued onto here. You can also notice that what we did on this kite too is we've got a piece of mylar on the back of the sail that's going to give this, is going to make this more durable. The one thing we noticed when we did our prototype is that we had the caps actually on the outside of the kite, and as the lines from doing tricks were rubbing, they were causing wear on these tabs. So Mike and I, Dennis, my sailmaker, decided that we could figure out how to put these on first and then put the cap on second. This is usually a tough thing because we have to slide something through this to be able to pull the leech. So basically what I'm going to do with this is that we leave these, and we're going to put a loop in the back of this, which is pretty much centered on this kite. Then I'm going to take this. I've already made sure that we've got this pretty snugly on both sides, so it's pulling through the end cap. I'm going to do a Larks head, pull it through the bungee, and pull this up so that it's under tension, but not too tight that we leave creases in here, so we've got a pretty tight edge. Then I'm going to secure a knot in here so that this won't slide off and it's out of the way. And that's pretty much it. And what we'll do next is cut this off and be very careful and burn it with a lighter so it doesn't fray. And pretty much that's the adjustable leech line that comes from the back of the sail. On this one we're using a real light bungee because we don't need it to be tight because of the weight of the kite. That pretty much should do the spine and the trailing edge.
This is the part that I like. Since this is live, if not cut away. Okay. You're still rolling.
Okay. With the Ocius, this particular kite, since it's so light and has a wind range of like nothing to probably 6, I know we pushed this kite to 8, but it's a light kite. This is a kite that's meant to be flown, when none of your other stuff will fly, and you want to have fun, and you need to have pull. I do a lot of shows, so it's really nice to be able to have a kite that jumps in no wind, and I can fly to routines to music, have a lot of fun. One of the things, though, that makes it light is that we're using this new SpectraCore bridle line that is actually, this new is amazing, this new 25 kilo, it's like a 50-60 pound. But when I'm doing my bridles, I'm usually starting with a pre-done, I've made a board that has designated places, I'll talk a little bit about that, so that everything comes out uniform. So that when we're doing these, we're tying overhand knots to make these bridles. It's something you figure out. Usually I've got a spool. Let's say that I was doing, the out haul, which would have a loop. I've got it on a nail on the board. I know when it's tied properly and the line is out, that on this particular one, I'm using a new system, and this one I've got marked as a UL, that I cut this at a specific place that I know that when I cut it and then tie a knot, that it's going to fall into a hole that I have put on my board that I know says UL, and this actually falls within exactly, every time I tie it, that it falls right into a place that's made on my board. And so every one of these, from looped to the end of the knot, is exactly right. And when it's done, you can either trim this off, burn the end, so we end up with that and a knot. And you're saying, okay, well, how is that going to attach to the kite? Well, what we've done is, once we've done this with all of them, then I have the marks that are made for my mains, where my marks are for my pigtails, where they're going to go on. This is a 3-point bridle, not an offset on this particular kite, and all of them are done ahead of time. I'm also doing the same thing with the top pigtails, with starting a knot here and then having it fall into a pre-designated set of holes so that everything ends up being the same. The big thing is to make sure that everything is repetitious, and that when you're done, that all of your stuff is the same. And I make sure that every kite that goes out of here is the same, and everything lines up the same so that everything stands the same from left to right. I actually have also been putting marks onto my bridle so that people know where the standard setting is, and maybe, well, the best two settings. One for maybe a little bit higher wind, a little bit lower wind, and then of course if you want to dump wind, you're going to move up on the knots. And then we go on to putting this stuff onto the kite. One of the main things with this method is a cinch knot, and one of the best ways to do it is that you create a loop. And on this particular kite, we want the knot to be on the downside, and this is you can do this on the kite a different way. I find this the fastest way. So you're creating a loop that goes on the kite, goes down from this side, it goes this way, and if you take this loop, pull this line through here, you'll notice that this knot, when it pulls down, will cinch onto this knot, and you secure it, and there's no way that'll come off of there. That way we don't have this big extra loop or anything, and it's really a nice clean fit. And we're going to do that with all the rest of the bridle lines, and then when we get to the end, we'll show you the adjustments.
Should have been a surgeon, John. Serious, I mean, these are the hands that a surgeon uses. I couldn't do these knots.
If you do enough of them, it's what I do. Everybody has their job. I love to build kites, and I built a lot of them in my day.
Yeah, this is... I think for a lot of us out there, watching you build this bridle right now is kind of like me. I often wondered. I didn't realize you went step by step right from here.
Oh.
I thought you had a whole bridle together and then just hooked it right together. This is a step-by-step on each one of your kites, always?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And some of them are more complicated. This is a 3-point. The offsets are different, and the one on the Pro Dancer Super Ultralight is all spectra, and is totally different and more time-consuming.
My Pro Dancer is going to get real jealous. It's not going to like sitting in the bag.
This kite actually weighs 20 grams less than the Pro Dancer Super Ultralight. It's a smaller kite, but still, when you think about 20 grams on a kite compared to that kite, it's pretty amazing.
Sure, almost an ounce.
Yeah. Okay. This now, I'm going to pigtail these here. Here.
That's nice.
This is something that I think a lot of people don't get, and that is to do a double Larks head. When you do that,
Okay, yeah.
by taking a loop, your mark's in the middle, goes through, underneath, and then you double it back through itself this way. Then when you pull this down, you're keeping everything in line, and that is what's called a double Larks head. Then this comes up, Larks head onto here, and you end up with your 3-point.
Wow.
Same thing on this side.
I think that was a wow from everybody watching.
Then a loop, loop here, through, like so, through the bottom. So you've got this going on, and this pulls. And the way this knot wants, if you ever made an adjustment, you pull this. This can slide it onto your mark either way. Pull both things, roll the knot, and it's secure. And there you go.
Wow.
And then you can always make adjustments to your angle of attack by moving these up or down.
So which on a Skyburner kite, which way do you go, up or down?
Well, basically it's preference on flying. We usually set these up. I think with this kite being a little bit lighter, I like the kite to have more pull. So I'm moving down, which is going to make the nose go back, which means the kite will have more pull. You know, if you like the kite a little bit floatier, maybe the wind's a little bit higher, then you move up to the next knot. Let's say we're out and the wind's definitely blowing higher than we like, but it's not too bad, and we want to really slow the kite down because we think we're pushing it. We'd actually move all the way up to the top knot and come up here. That would make this distance between here and the bridle shorter, or bring the nose forward to dump wind out of the bottom of the kite.
So the stronger winds, you go higher.
That's right. And then on lower winds, usually I think this kite was actually, you know, I would say the top would be to start here and then just see what you like. You know, I usually send them out of here being here is in a standard position. And that's pretty much it, you know.
Beautiful.
That's pretty much it.
I love it. I'm happy.
Yeah, the new Ocius SUL. You know, and yeah, Joe's actually, and I think the added wingtips have made a difference. Pretty nice graphics. But that's how we build kites.